Hi everyone, and welcome back to our channel. I'm Russ, founder of AMP, exercise scientist, qualified strength conditioning coach, neuroscientist and personal trainer, back with another weekly Q&A. This week we've had a great question come in around being new to the gym, so I thought I'd delve into this topic in a little bit more detail. Just before we get started, don't forget to subscribe, like and share. And of course, if you have any questions, pop them down in the comments below and we'll get back to you. Alright, so let's dive into the first question. So the first question is, how can I overcome my fear of going to the gym? Which is a great question and something that applies to so many different people. I've kind of broken this down into 3 different sections. The first one is social comparisons. The second one is intimidation or gym intimidation. And the third one is knowing what we're doing or competency. I think when it comes to going to the gym, you're always going to be comparing yourself to other people. Social comparison is not something that's just going to go away. But it is worth saying that as you get used to going to the gym, this does tend to fade away. You become less interested in what other people are thinking or doing and more interested in what you are doing. It's worth remembering there's always someone who is comparing themselves not favorably to you in the same way as you might be comparing yourself to other people. So it's worth remembering that we tend to always focus on the people that we would like to emulate or like to be like, or that look more comfortable in the environment than we do. But the reality is that there's always going to be someone who is wishing that they were as confident as you were. It's also worth remembering as well that you are in the gym, therefore you're comparing yourself to other people who are already in the gym. There are loads of people who haven't made it that far yet, so if you are in the gym, you're already in the right place, you're already taking steps in the right direction. But the gym crowd tend to be an accepting and positive and on the whole quite a welcoming crowd. They're there just trying to improve themselves in the same way as you are. So if people present as being perfect or they look like they know what they're doing and they've got no worries, remember that they're there trying to improve themselves. So why they're there in the first place? Everybody who goes to the gym is on some level aware that they want to improve themselves, and therefore there's some humility in that. But my tips in terms of getting over that fear, picking your training environment is massively important. If you go into a gym full of people who you find intimidating, it's going to be very difficult to concentrate. It's going to be very difficult not to compare what you're doing to what they're doing. So whether it's gym classes, whether it's training at the park, whether it's training at home solo, whether it's training in a gym, even down to selecting which gym you go for in terms of membership, those are important decisions that you want to bear in mind. You need to be comfortable in the environment you're in, and you need to feel not intimidated by it in order for you to be able to concentrate on what you're trying to achieve. Now, once you are in there, if you want to reduce the amount that you're paying attention to social comparison with other people, you need to distract yourself. And some of the best ways of doing that are to get music on, so to have music in your ears when you're training. It's just going to reduce the amount of stimulation you're getting from your environment around you. The other thing is to have a plan and a program ready with you so that you have something to follow and something to focus on when you're actually doing your exercise. You're not looking around looking for inspiration elsewhere. Now, there's going to be gaps in between exercises once you've finished your sets. Those are often the times when you start to glance around the gym and see who's there, see who else is there. But you should be using those rest periods productively as well. So if you do want to block out the rest of the room, keep yourself focused. Focus 20 to 30 seconds before you go back in for the next set on mental preparation for that next set. That's what's going to keep you really present during your workout and focused on which muscles you're supposed to be using, what you're trying to get from the exercise you're about to do, rather than focusing on who's around you and what everyone else is doing. In terms of feeling intimidated in the gym, some gym spaces are intimidating, and they do have people who are more interested in their own experience than everybody else's, don't share the space very well. Particularly the weights area is a classic one. But with a program, if you have your program with you, you can find yourself a space in the gym. You get the dumbbells or get the kettlebells, get the equipment you need for your session, and then you can just hold that space, do your workout without needing to interrupt anybody else. And then as you build in confidence, you'll be able to move more freely around the gym, asking people for equipment if you need it, and things like that will come with time. And finally, knowing what you're doing. So having a plan and taking a program to the gym with you is just a great way of being able to give you that confidence. At least you know what you're doing with your workout. You'll know what you're trying to achieve. Not looking around the gym thinking that everybody else has a plan except you. And that can lead to feeling a little bit lost. Whereas when you've got a plan, you've got something to come back to, and you can change that plan over time, but The idea is that one of the advantages of taking that into the gym is it just does give you direction and momentum for your session, and a purpose to being there, except looking around and comparing yourself to others. So I hope that helps. Obviously, one of the best ways of being able to overcome that fear of getting in the gym environment is actually to get yourself a coach. PTs are familiar with the space, they're comfortable in that environment, and they're there to guide you and help you. And they're also, it's much easier for them to use the space around them because that's their work environment. So when it comes to getting the right equipment for a session, when it comes to speaking to other gym members, all of those sorts of interactions are much easier to do when you've got a personal trainer there. And the focus of the session that is not about exercising becomes about conversing with your personal trainer, and then you feel like you're exercising in a bubble and the rest of the gym just exists around you. It takes away that isolation from working out solo. And to that end as well, working out with a friend is another great way of being able to overcome that kind of fear. You go in together, and then you feel like you've got your little team when you're there in the gym, and you've got somebody else to chat to while you're working out. I'm going to touch on a couple of other things that do come up quite frequently, one of which is what's the best type of exercise for beginners? So it's a great question. And barring injuries that might prevent you from doing certain types of exercises, there aren't any exercises that are off limits. Obviously, the complexity or intensity, duration, etc. of certain exercises are going to have to be suited to your fitness levels. But with inside that, there's always a version of the exercise that you can be starting on to progress your way through to more advanced versions. Really, what you want to be focusing on as a beginner in the gym is you want to be setting up the foundations for success in the future. You don't want to be doing exercise just for a couple of weeks. You want to actually setting up your program and your skill set for a long term. But my main bit of advice would be to avoid extremes. And when you start out, it is near impossible to be able to gauge what's the right intensity to be working out. And so it's really easy to completely overdo it. If you make your first session or the first few sessions easy, you're more likely to feel motivated to want to go back and do more the next time, which is the sort of space that you want to be in when you're trying to get into a rhythm with your gym session. There are three main factors that are going to keep you motivated when you go to the gym: autonomy, purpose, and mastery. If you overcook your workout intensity-wise, you feel like the next workout you have to do instead of something you want to repeat. So you're going to have that loss of autonomy. If you feel weak or unfit because the workout kind of defeated you because it was too intense, you're going to feel a loss of mastery. And because of that, you now don't feel quite as motivated, which means the result is that you've got a loss of purpose. Or why am I doing this? So that's the danger really with overcooking the intensity of your workouts. Instead, if you focus on basic movements with a balance of upper, lower, and core exercises, gentle cardio in zones 2 and 3, and some whole body stretching, it means that you're able to regulate the intensity of your workouts, you keep them interesting, and you tick all the boxes that your body needs to become fitter, stronger, and healthier. So I hope that makes a lot of sense in terms of where to start with the gym. But of course, if you do need any more advice, do please message us. Coaching is obviously a great way to start because it will just speed up the process of getting you used to following a program and training in the gym. All right, and then the final one I'll touch on is, do you need a program? Is it essential to have a program when you're trying to train? Best way of answering this question is really to just talk about the pros and cons of programming generally, as programs are essentially just either a record of what you did or a plan for what you're going to do in the next session, not anything magical about them. However, that said, it has been shown that people who follow a program will get better results than those who don't have a program. So that seems to be worth it. And while your motivation will come in peaks and troughs, actually your body is going to adapt to consistency. And that's what a program will do on those days where you don't feel as motivated. If you're following your program, you're more likely that your body will adapt in the way you want it to, and you'll get better results. The program will also allow you to measure your progress. So it's great to be able to actually see objectively where you were, where you've come from, and what you've achieved. Subjectively, when we try and look back over our fitness journey, sometimes there's a tendency to want to underestimate the amount that we have achieved and how far we've come, and to be critical and to be looking forwards at what we've yet to achieve. But programs will show you objectively the data about how much you've achieved. And the other thing with a program is it gives you that sense of reward that you get from having ticked a box. So when you tick off those sessions, that's going to trigger the reward center in your brain. It's going to make you feel good about having done those sessions. You could do the same sessions, not ticking off on the program, and you don't take note of them in exactly the same way. However, the fallback of programs are that they are sometimes too rigid. So you can feel like when you get to the gym, if you don't really want to, not really motivated, you don't really want to do that session on that day, or you don't want to do certain exercises, that your program almost becomes a prison at that point. So my best advice would be that you have a plan, have a program when you go to the gym because of all the positive benefits, but to be able to make that plan adaptable enough that it keeps you consistently going to the gym, but does flex on those days when your body feels like it needs more of a rest, and does excel on those days and push you on those days when you feel like you're ready to train and you're ready to go. All right, guys, thanks very much for watching as always. I think it's been another good one, and we'll see you next time.